admin page that allows us to manipulate users. We can refresh this page, and it comes back with a list of data that comes from the server. We can remove, and we should be able to add. Now this add looks like we commented out, but it was updating the local array, right? We really want to go to the server, right, and post new users to the server as opposed to maintaining a local array. So let's take a look at that implementation. Let's see, we had the create user was somewhere here. Where was it? There's our add user. Oh, right, this was it was failing somewhat, wasn't it? This create user. Why was this failing? Let's see, click create user. Did we declare it here? There it is, create user. And create user is bound. And we want to call this add user. Okay. Okay, it might be because we do this main, and the add user is not declared yet. So let's all these kinds of binding, all these things should happen inside of our main. So let's put it inside of our main. And probably main should be the last thing in here, right? So that all the other functions are declared already. So let's put the main way down here. Click add user. So this add user, let's see. Oops. Let's refresh. Okay, so if I add user, notice that indeed I can create users, right? But if I refresh, they're gone, right? Because we never put them in the remote server. Yeah, so let's see how we can add it to the remote server. All right, so to do that, we know that we need to generate a post. We need to generate a post to that URL, and we need to send a body that contains the actual data, right? That is formatted as a text in raw text, but in the JSON format. So let's do that. All right, so to do that, let's implement it right here in the user service at here, right? In create user. So let's do that. So again, we're going to use fetch. And there it is, fetch to the self URL. But the default is get, right? So we need to override that and say that the method is actually a post. Okay. Next, we need to say that we're going to send you the user object, which somebody's passing from the outside, right? That user object typically, hopefully, it will be a JSON object. Yes. So I need to say that the body is going to contain the user object. Right? That's how I put data inside of the body. Yes. But user is right now a reference to a JSON object. We need to convert that into a string representation. Yes, and to do that, there is a utility inside of the JSON library that has a function called stringify. See that? Stringify converts a JSON object into a string representation. Right? It escapes the characters. It does all it needs to do. There it is. Right? Next, we need to tell it that this body is not any string. It's formatted in the international format of JSON, right? So to do that, we do that in the headers, in the HTTP headers. In the headers, we can put all sorts of things, who the author is, what the IP address is, cookies. We can put tons and tons of stuff in here. One of the things that we can put in there is the content type. Right? We can tell the server, hey server, the content that I'm sending you, it's formatted in this international standard of JSON, right? And so we can say that the international standard is called application/JSON. That is an international MIME type, right? That tells me that the document that I'm sending you follows this format, so that the server knows how to interpret that string, how to parse it. Yes. All right. Excellent. So again, fetch is going to return a promise, right, from having sent this over to the server. Very good. Excellent. So now let's use this from our controller. Where is our create? Where are we handling our create? Create. Where are you? Add user. There it is. So our add user creates the new user object, right? It cleans out the field, and then it updates the local array, and then it renders. Yes, so we want to insert right here. We want to use the user service so that we can call our brand new create user, and we pass this new user. This is going to do a fetch. It's going to return with promise, and we can listen in for that response coming back from the server. Okay. Actually, we need to do one more thing. Sorry. This is going to do a fetch. What's actually going to return, just like we did in the fetch a user, fetch all the users. The array of objects is embedded in the HTTP body that comes back from the server. So we had to parse that out from the body as a JSON object, as an array of JSON objects, right? And then return that, right? That's what we did. So let's do that here as well. We don't want to. This returns the raw response, including the headers, including a whole bunch of things that I don't care. I only really care about the body. Yes. They behave exactly the same way. It's so that the server can interpret whatever you're sending either as one verb versus another verb, right? They're verbs. They're HTTP verbs, right? And you interpret them your particular way. REST, the standard says that post is for create and put is for updating. Yeah. Right. So just like we did with this find all, we're going to add this response JSON at the end of the call of this fetch. So it's going to be this fetch right here, ends right there. So I'm going to add it right there, and that's what's going to return. What's going to be returned is the JSON that was embedded in the body. That's what I return. Just like over here, I was returning the array of users. This is going to return the actual object that was added to the database, right? With its new ID, its new everything. Yes. All right, excellent. So let's go back here. There's our create. There's our brand new user that was added to the database. Yep, brand new user that was added to the database. So that's a perfect place to do this. Embed this right here and push this brand new user into my local array, and then render all the users. So let's see. Let's refresh. Let's create a new user. Bob, Alice, Dan. Okay. Oops. User is not defined. User's 34. User. Create user. Blah 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 blah. Ooh, C. Why? I must have mistyped it. So this is user. And then I'm passing along. Let's try it again. Let's refresh. So there's Dan. Create the user. There it is. Dan, Craig. Notice that we can look at the network. We can see the traffic between our client and the server. Oops, network console, network. Okay. If I say Craig and say add user, notice that it sends 2 requests, actually, not 1. Why 2? The actual request that we care about is the second one, right? We can see in the headers, we see the actual post. There it is, the post, right? And we send we're posting to users, and we can see the actual data that's being sent over. Username Craig. That's what's being sent. See that? And we can look at the response that comes back from the server. That's the raw text that comes back from the server. We can preview it. Notice that it's the data that we sent over, right? Plus the ID of having been inserted in the database. Yes, right? So that's coming back. But what about the first URL request over here? Why are there 2? So the first URL, right, is notice that the method is options. See that? That options. Notice it's not a post, but wait a minute, we're sending a post. Okay. This request is so that the client is checking with the server. Hey, server, I know you're running in this URL in this domain, but I'm running in a different URL. Okay. Normally, this would be considered a security breach. So it's going out to the server saying, "Hey, server, is it okay? Are you accepting requests from anybody?" And the server responds, say, it's asking, "What are the options? What are my options?" The browser is asking, what are my options? And the server is responding saying, oh, I'm accepting post, I'm accepting head, I'm expecting get. I'm open. Go ahead. I'm accepting the post. The client, the browser says, ooh, you accept post? Awesome. There's my post. Here's my post, right? And it sends the post. If the server would have said, nope, I'm not accepting post, the browser would have we've thrown an exception and says, no, there's a course, security breach, blah, 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 blah. It would have not let the request would have not gone through. Make sense? This works because I configured my server to accept the post and put and gets and all that, right? And we'll show you how to do that in a couple of weeks. Yes. Well, we really care about the post and the get when we're sending. When we're asked when we do a delete, it does return delete as well. All right, excellent. So yeah, so there it is. So if we refresh, notice that Dan and Craig and blah 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 are all there, right? Because we did create them. Right now, it survives the request. Everybody okay? Everybody still with me? All right, awesome.